My partner came out as trans and then left me. A month ago, we were talking about getting engaged and having a family. We had been dating for almost 2 years and everything seemed to be going well with a minor argument here and there. Things seemed to shift as my gastric sleeve surgery got closer. 2 weeks prior to my surgery, my partner blew up on me out of nowhere about how they thought I was choosing the easy way out, didn't try hard enough to lose weight, and stated that if I just did it their way, I'd lose weight. I was shocked. I have a long history of dieting and made the choice to get the surgery because it was my last resort and I was motivated to get healthy. Up until this point, my partner seemed supportive and had never talked to me this way before. My partner left to stay at his parents' house for a few nights and we didn't talk much during that time. I was trying to keep my stress level low headed into surgery and I needed time to process what had just went down. Then one night he messages me, telling me that he had a secret he had never told anyone, and that was that he has always felt like a woman and was trans. I was shocked but also supportive. I asked them to come back home and they did. They went with me to the hospital for the surgery and stayed home from work the following day to keep an eye on me and help me to my infusion appointment. We kept talking about their feelings about their gender identity and I offered my support by taking them shopping, assisting them with wigs, makeup. I did their first full face, full wig makeover. When we did the reveal, they completely lit up and I felt honored to be a part of that with them. They were absolutely glowing and happy. Considering I was recovering from surgery and still processing their coming out, I was completely transparent that I didn't know what the future of our relationship looked like because I personally never been attracted to feminine women. And this was how my partner now wished to present. Regardless, I didn't want them to move out or make any rash decisions about our relationship. I wanted time to get to know the real them and see where things went. But my partner kept picking fights with me. I was on pain meds, recovering from surgery and in no state to argue. But they kept on, pressuring me about what I wanted to do with the future of our relationship. Again, I told them I didn't want to make any decisions until I was off pain meds and recovered. In the meantime, we continued living together and they started experimenting by wearing my clothing. At first, it was just every now and then but became an everyday thing and they would just help themselves to my clothes without permission. Outside of the time they were gone dressed in feminine attire, they seemed totally depressed and didn't engage much. When we'd get home, they would instantly change into my clothes and beg me to do their hair, nails, makeup, etc. Which I did, because I loved them. I was back on my feet pretty quickly after surgery, doing well with the diet, and trying my hardest to be a supportive partner. But it was like a switch flipped in them and they no longer even liked me as a person. They only wanted to talk about them and their transition. And they were making decisions about it at lightning speed without giving me any time to process. Or space. I helped them come out to their family. I spent countless hours teaching them about skincare, hair removal, and makeup. I started collecting a list of books that were gender affirming and planned on gifting them to my partner. Then one day, my partner asked me to do their nails. We went out together and got all the supplies. When we sat down to do their nails, I started crying. I can attribute it to a few things: the stress I was feeling due to them picking fights with me after surgery, the lightning speed gender transition, my hormones going crazy, their inability to consider my feelings. I finished their nails and apologized, but they flipped out on me, stating that I made them feel embarrassed and ashamed about themselves. I again apologized because I would never want them to feel embarrassed or ashamed of themselves. I went to my best friend's house for the night to give them space to express themselves freely and myself some much needed time to process and decompress. Last that night, they sent me a novel of a text message, first starting out saying that they were sorry and needed to be more considerate of my processing and my feelings. But it quickly flipped into "you made me feel embarrassed and ashamed, so I took all the paint off and put all the clothes away because you made me feel bad." The whole thing struck me as very manipulative, so I didn't respond. The next day when I returned home, they acted like everything was fine. Everything was not fine, and I told them how hurt I was from the text they sent. Without much conversation, they packed a bag and left. Later, I received a text, yes, a text message, telling me they were done with me and that they posted about me on Reddit the week before and everyone told them that I was abusive and they needed to run. I knew their username, so I looked it up, and sure enough, they had written a post making me out to be an abusive monster with absolutely no mention of them coming out as trans and very limited context. It was not an accurate representation of what happened. They also refuse to speak with me now and will only communicate with me through their mother. The following week, they came and removed all of their belongings and have not said a word to me. I do know they are trying to remove themselves from our lease, which will leave me stuck with an apartment that costs over half my income. I'm beyond confused and heartbroken. I feel so betrayed. I'm in disbelief that this person I was planning a life with would just abandon me, and our dog, too. Has anyone ever been in this spot before? It's just so much to process all at once. I don't even know where to begin. Comment. Start really leaning on your close friends and family. You need to distance yourself from this person and the situation. You're going to struggle, you're going to wonder if you did this, you're going to wonder why. The why is not for you though. Just begin moving forward. Get some hobbies, hit the gym, and devote your time to things that make you happy. You'll get through this. You should focus on moving on and upgrading your life as they were/are not who you thought they were. Maybe some therapy can assist you with this situation as well, but definitely cut off all contact. They didn't deserve you and this too shall pass. I am so sorry you have to go through all of this. First things first. 1. Housing. Talk to your landlord. See what can be done about the rent/lease. They may be willing to let you out of the lease given the circumstances, and if they have a wait list, you leave it ready to rent, things of that nature. Talk to friends/others to see about a roommate or place to stay. Look into a place to rent that you can afford on your own. These things will help make sure you have a place to stay and maybe time to think without stressing out your money too bad. 2. Look into therapy. Emotional trauma is hard to deal with alone. Especially with your fresh surgery, it may help keep you from making poor choices with your food or activity level. We want to keep your mind and body as healthy as possible so you have a little less to worry about. 3. Remember, you did not deserve to be treated like that. You deserve time to heal, to process, and to exist without the focus being on someone else. Whatever anyone says, hold on tight to the moves you've made for your own best health. Focus on that, do what is needed for you, be sure you check in with your weight and surgery clinicians and let them know there's a change in your living status and you need extra support emotionally. Do they have a trained therapist to recommend? Don't let go of you, let go of the relationship. I know you can do this. XO from a granny. Next story 2. I asked my crush to wait for me to get better. Do I really deserve someone like her? Hello, my name is Hotaru and I was recently diagnosed with borderline personality disorder, BPD, and because of it I ghosted my crush after confessing my feelings to her. I know what you're thinking, why would I do something like that? Well, we would have to start from the beginning, when I first met her. We first met through a group meeting. We didn't really talk to each other as much, but we knew one another existed, and a week afterwards I randomly met her at a store. We exchanged contact information and started spending time together. We had video games in common and played the same games, so we would spend most of our time gaming. She was fairly busy and so was I. We always managed to make time for each other, however after a while she ghosted me. Some time would pass and she came back, explaining why she left and how bad she felt of it, but it didn't bother me that much. She came back and I'm not used to people coming back. So after a while of letting that happen I would eventually confess my feelings to her, in hopes of getting her to stay and stop ghosting me. It hurt a little whenever she left. She told me that she will be busy of school and that she isn't used to having stable relationships, but I told her that I'd be willing to try anything for her as long as she's happy. As you can tell, I clearly care for this girl. That's she's always been there for me regardless if she would ghost me or not. She told me that she would be willing to give it a try and see where things go. I later had a therapist appointment that same day and was diagnosed with BPD. My therapist explained to me what this means for me and how it will affect me and my life, and I broke down that day. I felt like the biggest burden anyone can ever ask for, and of it I ghosted her. After some months of not talking to her and trying to focus more on myself, she came back and asked to talk. I agreed and we hung out. Things felt the same like they used to be and it felt nice. Later that night we talked and I told her what happened. About how I was diagnosed with BPD and the effects it has on me and those around me. I told her that the reason I left was I didn't want to burden her. She then told me that she would like to know more about BPD if I'm willing to talk to her about it, and that she doesn't want to ghost me anymore and stay with me by my side. We talked some more and I asked her what if I would have told her about my BPD even though I confessed my feelings, would she wait for me? She said that she would, and then I asked her if she would be willing to wait for me to get better before entering a relationship with her. She said yes, she would be willing to wait for me. And I know that might not seem important to you, but as someone with BPD it means everything to me. BPD is one of the most painful mental disorders anyone can be diagnosed with. 2% of the population have it and the majority are female. Having BPD feel like it is impossible to love yourself, but you try your hardest because other people love you and care for you and you were never loved as a kid or taught how to love properly, so because of it it's hard to accept when someone loves you, because your mother didn't love me when I was growing up and my father left, so it's hard for me to accept that she cares for me. I'm currently seeking the help I need. It's just nearly impossible because of the lack of resources in mental health. All I know is that someone loves me and is willing to wait for me to get better, but I feel like I don't deserve it. Do I really deserve someone like her in my life? Someone that's willing to love me and wait for me even though I can't love myself? At least not for now. And as for any of you out there with BPD, I want to know your story and what keeps you going. Your reason isn't selfish and I hope you get the help you so desperately deserve and need.